Week 7, the gentlemen strut their military prowess to the delight of the eligible women and their chaperones. Our party is reliving the year 1815. Britain has been at war with France for 23 years. A whole generation has grown up against a background of military conflict.
Go on.
The hostilities have exacted a terrible price. A higher percentage of the population has died than in the First World War.
Fire.
We're aiming at Napoleon. Who's our #1 public enemy?
He's dead.
I've never shot with these before. Quite interesting, I think.
The flintlock musket that Mr. Carrington is loading was fired at the Battle of Waterloo.
Are you ready?
Just fire the trigger. Whoa! Whew. Man, got the shakes.
That's scary stuff, then.
Whew. That was a lot of fun.
Bearing in mind they'd fire off 3 rounds a minute, I think in the line he'd be all over the place, wouldn't he?
Yeah.
with his recoil. That's probably not very good.
Yeah, I'd rather have somebody standing
seems
still
so
next
bad.
to me than flopping around the place.
Yeah.
That would be sensible.
In 1815, Napoleon met his Waterloo. But victory in Europe did not bring peace at home. "300,000 servicemen, destitute and hungry, returned to a homeland bankrupt after the long campaign." Mobs roamed the countryside, stealing from the large estates. As there was no police force, local militia were used to protect property. One of these volunteer armies, made up of farmers and local labourers, has come to drill with the gentlemen, ready to confront the growing civil unrest.
Charge. Bayonets. Straighten those bayonets up. Militia and volunteers, shoulder, arms. Prepare to advance in ordinary time. Forward, march. Left, right, left, right, left, right, left. Look to your dressings, gentlemen. Halt. Right about.
Chaperone Mrs. Enright, once an army officer herself, casts a critical eye over the troops.
Arms.
Well, it was the first day on the parade square and one mustn't expect too much, but I thought Mr. Fox-Smith yawning on parade was something I'd have had him march to the guardroom for. And as for Mr. Gorrell Barnes, 5 minutes behind everyone else, 10 minutes, 15. They need to smarten up very considerably.
March. Left, right, left, right, left, right, left, right, left, right, left, right, left, right. Better halt. Halt. Apart from the pace and the step, it was perfect.
Oh, sorry.
Right. Better halt. Halt.
Master of the house, Mr. Gorrell Barnes, invites his guests to celebrate Napoleon's downfall. Joining them is historian Andrew Roberts, an expert on the wars.
Just like everyone to know, this is a dinner in celebration of the fine victory at Waterloo, and also I'd like to welcome Mr. Roberts to Kent Church. I hope you enjoy dinner and I hope you enjoy this day. So enjoy your dinner.
Ma'am, this evening we have soup à la reine, escargot bourguignon.
Despite the conflict, it remained fashionable to pepper conversation with French words and serve French food.
So what do you make of the spread?
It's breathtaking.
After dinner, the table is transformed into the battlefield of Waterloo.
Almost as much is psychology as is military strategy.
These action replays of the Duke of Wellington's finest hour were popular.
One of these lines
Andrew Roberts describes the moment when, after 10 hours, the tide of battle turned.
The Imperial Guard marched straight through the centre.
Emperor Napoleon was certain that by deploying his crack troops, the Imperial Guard, he would annihilate the Allied forces.
However, what he didn't appreciate was Wellington's brilliant ploy, which was that on the reverse slopes were, hidden behind them, large forces of British infantry, gentlemen. And they were asked to stand up and suddenly present their many thousands of muskets to pour a withering fire into the front ranks.
I just don't believe we have any concept of it in our time. And the fact I was sort of thinking about World War I being sort of 4 or 5 years.
And we think that's a long time.
23 years. It was just the weirdest idea.
Which was a massive central thrust through the enemy's centre.
And it wasn't just the men who went to war.
I didn't realise the actual sort of girlfriends of soldiers would literally follow behind their brigade and go and save their loved one in a moment of sort of desperation. I mean, these were just fields of complete kind of bloodshed and just bodies and limbs and things everywhere, and how they actually kind of worked out where they were and how close they were, I don't really understand, but it must have been terrifying.
The women also went onto the battlefield to rob and murder the enemy wounded. Andrew Roberts has brought back their gruesome spoil.
And here, a selection of human teeth. These were actually all of them taken from the battlefield of Waterloo. They were ripped out of the faces of the corpses, and then they were taken back to London and sold to dentists.
I found the teeth particularly kind of moving and extraordinary, and the horribleness of actually taking them out and making use of them is really not something that 21st century people really can probably deal with very well.
Here is a cavalry sabre. You did not use it to point as you charge, so much as to try to slash as you went by.
There is something about a perfectly balanced killing tool which is actually rather thrilling, like it or not.
Nonetheless, he would have understood as he visited those blighted fields.
The Battle of Waterloo brought the Napoleonic Wars to an end. After the years of conflict, soldiers and sailors like Captain Glover tried to re-establish their life at home.
Actually to be found on the battlefield.
For many, finding a wife was a priority. For Glover, his hopes and desires have fallen on Miss Lisa Braund.
There were quite a few times in the first week or so that I did find it very difficult, and Lisa was always there for me. And vice versa, when she was finding things difficult, I've been there for her as well. So the relationship has come out of just people caring for each other. There's an old saying, isn't there, that if you love somebody, they'll love you back.
It's just really, really sweet. It just made me laugh.